Hey guys, it's Lauren from Granite State Yarns, and I'm here with podcast number 10. It has been way too long since I last recorded a podcast. And for podcast number 10 here, we're going to do something a little bit different to start things off. I'm going to take you behind the scenes to my dyeing operation in my super high-tech kitchen. So I am dyeing up 4 DK weight skeins of yarn. This is a special request from a friend who wanted some full-size skeins of the red color from my glorious Christmas colorway. So I am just setting this up for her right now. This is one of the simplest colorways that I dye. This is just a tonal. It uses one color dye. And I am a fan of just kind of eyeballing things. I don't measure anything out by weight. I just kind of go by what looks good to me. It's kind of the art of dyeing for me. So you will have noticed that I started out with a little bit of dye in the pan there and then put my skeins right in there, and that got a nice coating, a nice layer of color on part of the yarn. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to add dye a little bit at a time to pour on over the top. Now I don't want to have a super solid dye job here. I like to have a little bit of variation in the tones. That's why it's a tonal. There's some spots that are a little darker, spots that are a little bit lighter. But I do want to make sure that every little bit of the yarn has at least some color to it. So the way I ensure that my yarn is dyed the way I want it is by basically getting into it and zhuzhing it around and moving it and making sure that there are no spots that have been missed, and we're gonna just kind of work it a little bit. So you see there's a white powder that I add to the dye. That's citric acid, and that's because this is acid dye. And it actually needs a low pH in order to be able to get into the yarn. Now, I don't know all of the science behind it, but I do know that in order to get dye into wool, we need heat and we need acid. So I use citric acid because it comes in a powder and it's really easy to use, and it doesn't smell the way that vinegar does. I do use vinegar on my sparkly bases because the citric acid can actually make the sparkly bases kind of dull a little bit and lose a little bit of their sparkle. But since this is just a regular DK sock yarn with just nylon and wool, I'm not worried about any stellina. So we're going to use our citric acid. So here I am moving the yarn around a little bit. And you'll notice that there is some steam coming out of here. And I am doing just fine zhuzhing the yarn around with my gloved hands. The water's warm, but not too hot for me right now. It's not bothering me. But it will soon, and I'll show you what I do when I switch over when the water starts getting a little bit too hot to be handling like this. So, yeah, just adding a little bit more dye. Like I said, this is kind of a process, and this is the art of dyeing a tonal. Oh, yeah, you can see all the steam on my goggles there. Don't worry, I can still see what I'm doing. But, yep, it's a bit of a process to go layer by layer with the color here. But I think it ensures a really nice variation in color. And it's just part of the art, and I think it's a lot of fun to do it this way. There's probably quicker ways to do it, but this is what works for me. My process for more colorful yarns is pretty similar, actually. It's just instead of using one color at a time, or, one color for the whole pan, I will be grabbing different colors. But this is my favorite way of getting color in yarn. It's to take a good old Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee cup that I've saved and just going bit by bit, a little bit of dye, a little bit of citric acid, a little bit of water. Yeah, I think now this is when the water gets a little bit too hot for me. And I am there we go. I've got my trusty chopsticks. I really like using chopsticks for this job because they kind of work a lot like fingers. And I'm able to really get in there and make sure that every little bit of yarn has been dyed. It works really well for me. So all of these things that I'm using, I save and I use specifically for dyeing. I don't ever use any of this stuff for eating or cooking with. Once they get used with dye, that is the end. They live in my dye stuff. So it looks like I'm pretty much finished up here. Yep. Happy with the color. So now I'm going to, any of that little bit of dye that's still on that measuring spoon, I'm going to put it in the water. Make sure that every last little bit of dye is used. That was the same thing that I was doing with the cup. Just grabbing a little bit of water right from the pan and pouring it back in. Just making sure that all of the dye is getting used. Close everything up. And when I'm all done, I give a good wipe down to all of the surfaces that I was near. Just to make sure that there's no dye anywhere. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that little behind the scenes of my dyeing process. It was kind of cool to do something a little different. I'm here with Maggie Cat. Maggie, say hi. Anyway, it has been since November, I think, since the last time I recorded a podcast. Sorry. Things got a little crazy. I mean, I was surprised. This was my first year ever doing Vlogmas, and that was a lot more work than I expected. So when Vlogmas was over, it was just kind of like, whew, I'm a little burnt out. Don't really feel like sitting down in front of a camera. And then it just kind of, I don't know, fell out of habit. And here we are in February, and I am finally sitting down to talk about the knitting that I've done. So I don't exactly know where I was back in November. Hopefully I have at least all the important things to talk about. If I forget anything, I'm sorry. I don't know. Let me know and I could talk about anything that if you were like on the edge of your seat waiting to find out about a particular project, and then if I neglect to mention it, just say something and I will find it somewhere. I know I must have knit some socks or something. I don't even know. Like it's been wild. I haven't really been doing a whole ton of knitting, to be honest. Like I said, I think I'm just kind of tired from the holidays, a little burnt out about things. Everything's cool. I talked about it on Instagram earlier this week. And honestly, I think just talking a little bit about how, you know, the knitting kind of waxes and wanes sometimes. I don't know, I think it was enough to just kind of jumpstart my interest, because I have a pair of socks that I finished this week. And I've gotten a few projects ready to go, so it's totally cool. So let's start with finished objects. First thing is my Fern and Feather sweater, which I don't know if I've even talked about on here yet. I started this, yeah, I definitely haven't. I started this in the beginning of January and finished it, I think, right at the end of January, maybe the very beginning of February. I don't remember exactly, but it is knit out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. I actually have a couple of extra skeins here. Yeah, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in, let's see, Forest Heather and Mink Heather. And I really like this yarn. It's a little kind of rustic. I don't want to call it scratchy. It's not super duper soft. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And it's a little woolier than, say, like the merino wool that I usually use for socks and things. But it's really, I don't know, like it feels like it's really nice for a sweater, in my estimation. I don't know. This is it's the third top I've knit. I knit like a t-shirt, sweater kind of a thing a couple of years ago, which I haven't worn in a while. Well, because it's a t-shirt. It's kind of more for warmer weather. I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast yet. It's a Tanya sweater, which I knit out of Knit Picks Hawthorne. I don't remember the colorway. Anyway, so I'll show that at some point. And then just a couple of months ago, I finished I don't remember the name of it now, the Andrea Mowry sweater that I knit out of Lolo Did It in Fame. Really wish I could. It was the nice cabled sweater cardigan. And so this is my first like pull over sweater. And this is like I said, the Fern and Feather by Jennifer Steinglass. I don't know if I can kind of like show it a little bit more. Yeah. So it fits perfectly. I am so happy about how this one came out. The cardigan that I did a couple months ago, you know, I did the swatch and everything. It did come out a little bit bigger than I had originally anticipated, which was, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it was designed to be, I think, to have like a 10-inch positive ease, and I knit it to do, I don't remember exactly, but I was like going for less than that because I didn't want it to be too big. But I think it kind of grew after blocking a bit more than I expected it to. And so it came out a little bit bigger. It's fine, totally still wearable, still love it. But this one came out just exactly the way I wanted it to be. Like, I really didn't want it to be like super loose, but not skin tight either. So it came out so nice. Like the sleeve length is perfect. It's my watch there, but it's just perfect for my arm length. So happy. This feels so nice up here. Like, it's not wicked tight. Like, especially, I don't really like a whole lot going on around my neck, but I want like a high neckline. And so this neckline, it's just so nice. It's perfect. It's nice and high, but it's not like really, really tight. There's like some room here. It's certainly not like a boat neck or anything, but perfect. Really like the neckline. It's just the right length. It came out so nice. I'm so happy with it. And this color work was so fun. This was the first time I've ever done like stranded color work like this, at least not like a big project. I've done a little bit of like small color work in like socks, or I remember I was doing some swatches and things trying to like learn how to do color work, but I haven't really done much of it. So it was kind of fun to just jump into a sweater and say, let's see how this goes. And it worked out fine. It was so fun to do. Like, this yoke I got done in just a few days. I don't remember exactly, maybe like 3 days, maybe something around there anyway. It seemed like I just went through it so quick. And I'm like, oh, I am so gonna get this sweater done in like no time flat. But I will say, when I did hit all the stockinette in the arms and the body, that it did, I don't know if it was just like the repetition. I usually really like stockinette, but it just was, I don't know. It went from being so exciting with the yoke here to kind of just, you know, simple knitting. And it took a little bit longer than I had kind of hoped. And plus, I mean, it's a sweater. It's going to take a little bit of time. But still, I mean, I got it done in a few weeks. Not bad at all. I love it. I wore it for the first time yesterday, and I'm so happy with it. So very happy. I do have another pattern of Jennifer Steinglass's. I don't remember the name of it, but I am looking forward to doing that one soon. I think it's one of her newer releases, because she had it on sale because it was a new release, and so I figured I would pick that up while I could save a couple dollars. So that was cool. So when I am ready to do another one of these, I will be doing that pattern. But I do have another sweater project on deck right now, which I will talk about in a little bit. But I'm going to talk about my other finished object while we're doing this. So these are a pair of socks for my daughter. One of my daughters, anyway. The big question at my house is always, who are you knitting those socks for? Who are those for? Is that for you? Is that for me? And they kind of try to like figure out who the socks are for based on like the stitch count. When I'm not looking, they're gonna pick up the socks, and they they count the stitches and these are 56 stitches. So they're like, oh, okay, well then it can't be, you know, it can't be hers or hers. So it's probably hers or hers. So the big question is it going to Maria or is it going to Katie? I know, but I haven't told anybody else yet. I think what I'm going to do, because my kids love socks so much, I'm going to try to get a few pairs done before, and then hand out a bunch of socks to everybody. So that way nobody feels bad. So this is at least the first of a set of new socks for the family. And this is knit in January Sunset, which is actually available in my shop right now. I got a really fun picture of a sunset that we had a few weeks ago and said, I need to turn this into a colorway. And this is the yarn. So I actually have one of the hanks right here. So like I said, I've got, I think like half a dozen of these still in my shop right now. So if you are interested in making yourself a pair of socks, you can hop over to granitestateyarns.com and pick up a skein or two. So I also knit this in my Arethusa Falls pattern. I do love that pattern, talked about it a bunch. This is the adult small, and it is so stretchy. It does fit my younger daughters in an adult small. Usually my, let's see, how old are they? I always get confused. Truth time, mom gets confused, forgets how old your kids are. Younger girls do fit in the adult small quite well. And then usually the adult medium I do for my 13-year-old and for me. And then my 11-year-old, it kind of depends on the pattern. For her, I'd probably do an adult medium for her in this particular pattern. You really need to measure the diameter of the foot and the leg to figure out for sure what size you need to do. And it depends on the pattern too. I think like these, because they're so ribbed, they work even if the leg or foot diameter is a little bit smaller than you'd expect. So you'd have to look at your patterns to know for sure. But I know a lot of people wonder what are good patterns for children. And I honestly, as long as they're old enough, like I said, usually somewhere around like the 7-year-old age, I can usually get by with an adult small. One of my long-term goals is I would like to write up some simple sock patterns for children and kind of, you know, make it a little bit easier for people to be able to knit for their kids and their grandkids and nieces and nephews, and to feel a little more confident in how to get a good sock that fits, because you totally can do it. Yeah, up to, I don't usually, I mean, I knit socks for babies, but they just kick them off. So I don't tend to do a whole lot of socks for like really little kids, but you know, toddlers and up, definitely knit socks for them. So January Sunset, Arethusa Falls. These I started a few weeks ago anyway, right after I dyed up the yarn. And like I said, I was just kind of slowly working on them, but they're done now. So I got like, I think from the heel and did this whole foot in just a couple of days, which was nice. I finished up the socks last night and they're all set. Okay. So those are my finished objects. Not a whole lot else really. But I do have a few works in progress now. So I have another pair of socks here, and this is in a bag by Midwest Stitches. Danielle very nicely sent me this bag. I know she's going to have it available later on this year, sometime this spring. So if you would like to get yourself a bag just like this, keep an eye out. I'll definitely talk about it, announce it on my Instagram, or you can follow Danielle at Midwest_Stitches, if I remember correctly. And she will keep you up to date. This bag is so nice. It has little purple polka dots. Well, purple fabric with like white polka dots. But it's so cute. And it matches the yarn that I have in here too, which is really fun. So yeah, Danielle sent me this for my birthday, so I got a sneak peek. Isn't it pretty? So the yarn that I have in here is that sock set box that I talked about. I think that was the last video that I posted. So that is a new sock yarn subscription from Daisy Stitch Co. And I'm using the yarn that I got there in that box, as well as the I Heart Socks pattern that came with it. And I'm doing shorty socks. I have gotten up to the heel turn. And so I have one repeat of the pattern here. So you really can't see too much of what's going on, but it will have like hearts that go down the front of the sock. Actually, I've got a cute little stitch marker that Danielle sent along with the bag. Isn't that cute? Thanks again, Danielle. So I've got one of the minis that came with it. I'm just doing a little bit of black here on top. I really like the way like Kay, the crazy sock lady, does the like the short little stripe on the cuff. So I do that sometimes. And I'm not sure. I think what I might just do is I think I'm probably going to do the rest of the sock in this variegated yarn here. Yeah, because obviously I haven't switched over for the heel. I mean, maybe I'll do a black toe. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think I'm just going to use the main colorway. Isn't it pretty though? Came out really nice. So I have this in a center pull ball, and this is in a cozy that I got from Midwest Stitches again. And I loved this. I got this, gosh, I think in December, and it had little hummingbirds on it, so I had to have that. And yeah, so the minis that came with it are right here. My ball winder kind of got a little wild here, but there was a hot pink and then the black. So really cool. The pattern is by Professor Purl. Like I said, it's I Heart Socks. And it was really cool. In the box, there was a little card with a picture of the pattern and then a little QR code. So when I scanned the QR code with my phone, it just automatically, magically downloaded the pattern right into my phone. It was so easy to do, like just really cool. So that was a piece of cake. The pattern itself is, it's got like a lace heart pattern on the front of it. It's not too difficult. I'm not having any trouble with it. I wouldn't say, it's definitely not a beginner pattern, but nothing too outrageous if you have any, experience in sock knitting. So I'm hoping to get these done soon. These are going to be for one of my kids. So it's going to go into that pile of socks for the kids. Like I said, that way I can give them all socks at once. So I got that going. All right, and then my other work in progress is a shawl. This is the Blissed Out Shawl. And I will link information down below. I don't remember who designed it now that I think about it. But my friend Rachel did a test knit on this. And when I saw it, I said, I have to do this myself. So I started this, I think back in maybe December, and not too far along, but I've gotten somewhere here. It's DK weight, so it's making a really warm shawl. And what's really sold me was these hexagons here. Isn't that fun? So this is, let's see, this yarn is from Cozy Colorworks, and it is a DK weight superwash merino. There's no nylon in it. It's just 100% wool. I got this down at the New England Fiber Festival a few months back, and it's in Orchid, which is that purple. Here we go. And the toffee is this really nice toffee color. And the last color is Purple Rose. That's the really fun variegated one here. And I have all of this stuffed into a bag by Stolen Minutes. Get it all back in here so I can show you. Yeah. So I got this bag from Stolen Minutes and I love this pattern. So springy, really nice. Makes me happy every time I see it. So yeah, this has 3 full-sized balls of yarn and my shawl in there. I keep the pattern on my tablet. I think this is their medium size. So it's definitely decent, good for a shawl pattern for sure. All right, and those are my knitting works in progress, but I do have some spinning to show. I got a roving advent from Woolfiend. I saw someone posted their finished, all of the finished yarn that they did, because it's a 12-day like mystery advent thing. So you get your bag of roving here. And the project that I saw online was so pretty, so I had to have it. And she actually still had a few more sets in stock. So I was able to snag one of those. I think they're all sold out now, but was really happy about that. So I have, they are, I think, a gram of roving in each bag. I think, yeah, must be. Not a gram. An ounce? 1 ounce. Yeah, that makes more sense. It's 1 ounce of roving per bag. And here are the minis that I have made. I've made a lot here. I think I've got 7. So every bag has, like I said, an ounce of fiber, and then I spin it up. And I actually have a video that I recorded of spinning one of these. I don't remember which one it is. And I haven't edited it yet. I'm sorry. I said I was going to edit it. If you follow me on Instagram, this is where I usually talk about this stuff. And I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll get that done, hopefully this week. But because I'm not a spinning expert. I am still very new at this. But I don't know, they're coming out okay. They're all about DK weight. I think some of the later ones that I've done might be a little closer to like a heavy fingering weight because I'm getting a little more yardage out of them. I haven't double checked their weight, but you know, they're all pretty close. So I'm planning on doing like, I don't know, some sort of shawl fade or something. But I think a shawl would be really fun, like super colorful and everything. So I'll show a little bit up close here. If I get this to, they are just, oh my goodness, they're so fun. So they're 2-ply. I'm trying to be as consistent as I can. Look at these. Oh my goodness. Now I want to get out my spinning wheel and do some more spinning. Oh, like I love this so much. Look at these. Look at this one. Look at how colorful that one is. Oh my goodness. This has just been so much fun. So I can spin the singles and then ply them into the little mini skein, and I can do that in like one sitting. It takes, I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes, an hour to do one. I haven't timed myself to like know for sure, but it doesn't take that long. But oh, I love this so much. This has been such a fun project. And I'll open up the next one so that way you can see. Let's see, 8. I haven't opened it up yet, so let's take a look together and see what the next colors are going to be. Sorry about all that noise. Oh, look at that. Pink and teal and orange and a little bit of that like mustardy yellow and some purple. Oh, this one's colorful. Oh, I can't wait to do this. Look at it. Oh, it's so fun. This has been a blast. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this. So I still have 5 more to go, and then this little mini one too. This is, look at that. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this little teeny one, but because I mean it's a little bit small to spin into much of anything. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep like a basket of just like little bits and bobs and things, and then someday I'll know what to do. But this has been a blast. I really do enjoy spinning. I will, and I really want to do, I want to knit with my hand spun. Like, it's so fun. I've only ever done 2-ply. I do have enough bobbins now for my birthday. I got some more bobbins. Thank you, Jeff. So I'll be able to do more than just 2-ply. So I have enough bobbins to do up to 4. So I'm excited about trying that out, but I'm just not quite there yet because I'm afraid of it getting like way too muddy, especially because the roving that I have right now tends to be, because I can't resist crazy colors. I have some like, you know, wild different colors, and I'm still like learning about how all of these blend together to make the yarn that you want and everything. So the 2-ply right now is enough of a brain frying process. But yeah, so I have some, like I said, some shawl ideas kind of bouncing around in my head to do like a really fun, colorful DK weight shawl with all of these when I get them finished. So this has been a cool little long-term project that I've got going. All right. Oh, I have one more like sock work in progress here. I talked about this during my Vlogmas. This is in another bag by Midwest Stitches. Danielle sent this for Christmas, and I have the socks that I am knitting, the scrappy socks that I'm doing with the, can I remember it? The 24 Days of Cheer that I did with Rachel, Creative Yarnaholic, that was sponsored by Between Knits and Pearls. So Rachel and I both set up 24 days of minis to get to open. I opened them all up during Vlogmas, so if you missed those, you can watch all those episodes. And then I'm knitting scrappy socks with them, and I've got them right here. And I'm knitting them 2 at a time so that way they'll match. And the reason why I haven't gotten a whole lot of this done is I'm on the heel portion, and so I have to knit 2 heels at once. And to be honest with you, I really enjoy the magic that is the heel turn process, but I also, knitting 2 heels at once is kind of, I don't know, it's overwhelming to me. So I got 1 heel done, and I just haven't had like the oomph to do the second one. Well, actually I've started it. You can see I've got a couple down here. I love these socks though. Like I really want to get them done. Like they're so pretty. Oh, now that I have them out, like, ooh, I want to work on these. This is like, so some of the minis that I got are not quite enough to do a stripe and 2 socks. And then in the other project that I'm working, I'm putting a square in my Cozy Memories blanket. And the Cozy Memories blanket is like the top priority for me for that, for the minis. So I want to make sure that I have enough yarn to put the square in there. So when I figured out the math for how many stripes I wanted, because there's a few stripes that are missing, I'm having to grab some of my own scraps to add into there, which is totally fine. Doesn't bother me at all. And so I've got a couple of, yeah, so this is like I've got a few minis in here from Rachel. think a lot of these are like Daisy Stitch Co. minis. That was so fun. And then this is, I think, like I said, this is one of mine. This is Hue Loco. I don't remember the colorway. Ooh, no, I do. Give me a moment. Sucker Punch. And it's got a gold stellina base. It's so pretty. I knit a pair of socks in this over the summer. So anyway, I'm grabbing some of my own scraps to add into this. And yeah, so I will eventually get these done because I really, really love these. But I'll show you my Cozy Memories blanket, which I have in this giant bag here, or bin. So I've got my needles here. Actually, I splurged and I got myself a pair of Signature Needle Arts needles, which are like just luxury fancy needles. Can't get this to focus. These are my old, I can't remember. Knitter's Pride. These are my old Knitter's Pride ones, which actually when I bought these, I bought them specifically to do this blanket, but I got really long ones. I think they were 10-inch long straight needles, and I didn't want to knit with 10-inch long straight needles. So my husband very sweetly cut these down for me, and then we just popped the stoppers on and glued them on the end. So he made me a nice pair of shorter needles to make the squares in this blanket. But I did splurge and I bought myself, like I said, the Signature Needle Arts needles, which are so, like, these tips are so nice. These are the stiletto ones. Like, so you have the option of the sharp, the blunt, and then the in-between tips. And then you can also choose what you want for the ends. Cannot get this to focus because it's so little. Close enough. So this is the teardrop, I believe, and the stiletto, like I said. So they're really sharp. They are really sharp, actually. When I knit with them, like, they tend to dig into my, like, for some reason, like, I keep getting the cuticle of my thumb of all things. But it's okay. Still worth it because there's just something very pleasant about knitting with these. And like the comparison to these, which cost less than $10 for the pair, and these, which I think are a little under $30 for the pair. This is, there's no way I could afford all of my needle. My daughter's looking at me. There's no, through the window. Hi, Abby. Hi, Julie. Anyway, there's no way that I could afford all of my needles being Signature Needle Arts. Like, no. But as like a special treat every now and then, this is not so bad. So if you're looking for like a really nice gift for a knitter, or if as a knitter, if you're looking for something to ask from your husband or your boyfriend or your mother-in-law, someone who's buying you a present and maybe needs a hint, this is not a bad idea. Especially if you have like a long-term scrappy project like a Cozy Memories blanket. It really just, I don't know, it's just a nice thing. I know a lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of people who have the fancy needles for some of these long-term projects. So here's my Cozy Memories blanket. At least most of it here. Don't look at all the ends in the back that I have to weave in. I'll do that someday. I know when I started this blanket, like there's a section here where I did weave in the ends. Oh, I was just so on top of things. And then I just kind of stopped. So now I've got like a billion ends to do at some point. But I've been adding all of my my sock scraps and the little minis that I get and other things like that. So it's just been so much fun. And I think I've talked about this here before too, but like the kids just get such a kick out of it. I mean, I get a kick out of it too. Like, so anyway, the kids like to crowd around and every now and then like point out, oh, Mom made me socks out of that. And oh, there's Thomas's socks there. And you know, oh, Dad has a pair of socks out of that. So it's just such a sweet blanket. And I mean, it's gotten really big. Like I'm at the point now that when I'm knitting on it, like I can kind of like curl up into it a little bit, but I still have a long way to go. for sure. This is a long-term project. I'll be doing it for a while. But I got that. And then the last one is my corner to corner crochet blanket, which is what I do with the scraps that I still have after knitting a square in my Cozy Memories. And then if I have little bits left over, I make a magic knot ball. And then I crochet, actually I've got this giant one here. This is what I'm working on right now. This is huge. And I mean, I've done some knitting off of this too. Like this is definitely well over 100 grams right now. But this is my second corner to corner crochet blanket. So let me show you, give you a quick look at this one. Yeah, and so I'm knitting this with a Clover brand E 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And the pattern that I'm using is really simple. I got the instructions from the Crochet Crowd on YouTube. And it's just double crochets, slip stitch, chains. I think that's it. Really easy. So I've just been loving this project. Like I said, this is the second one. I have another one in actually right here. Keep it in the living room. This is the first one that I ever did. And it gets so much use. So my magic knots, I was talking with McKaylee of Breaking Yarn about this. I think that they're, if you want to do a magic knot ball, definitely look up a tutorial, because I think it really does matter how you tie the knots, whether or not it's going to really last or not, because I've definitely had some magic knots fail in this blanket, which hasn't been a big deal because this is just a scrappy blanket. And it's not a big deal to just, like, if there's a couple sections where instead of having the 3 double crochets in each little section, if, you know, there's only 2 because it got unwound or whatever, and there's a weird knot, or it doesn't bother me because it's just a scrappy blanket, like no big deal. But obviously I'd prefer if they didn't break. And I have noticed, and I've been trying to be really careful about it with my second blanket here. I know that, or I think that the way that you tie the knot really does make a difference. But I get confused, and so I know that I'm not doing it 100% correctly. But if I cut the yarn really, really close to the knot, it's going to be more likely that it's going to come apart. So if I leave a bit more, then that seems to help it last a little bit longer. Let me see if I've got a knot, like, see, they're all like deep within this magic knot ball. But anyway, as long as I leave, like, I don't know, no more, like a 1/4 of an inch or so of a tail, then it seems like that's enough that it doesn't want to like fall apart and fray and just whatever. And I hopefully that'll be good enough to keep any more of the magic knots falling apart. I'm not sure if that's like the answer, but it seems to be okay. I've also heard of taking a little drop of fray check and putting it on the knot. So it's kind of like a glue, like a fabric glue. You can get it at like Joann's or Walmart or anything like that. I haven't tried that, but I've heard that that works. Maybe I'll try that sometime. I mean, it really wouldn't be that difficult to do. But like I said, otherwise, for my purposes in doing a scrappy blanket, it's fine. Okay, so future knitting. Like I said earlier in the video, I am planning another sweater, and I'm going to be knitting the sea glass sweater, which has kind of, it's kind of, look at my hair. Oh my goodness. So anyway, the sea glass sweater is really quite popular. I've seen a lot of people working on it. It's the sea glass tee, which is done in fingering weight yarn. I've seen a lot of projects that came out I'm not sure when, but a while back. But then the sweater version, which is DK, that came out a couple of weeks ago. And I kind of fell in love with that one because it's can definitely, not always, but can be a scrappy project. So I pulled together a bunch of scraps to work on that. Now I don't have a ton of DK scraps, but the pattern does say that you can, you can hold fingering weight double. You can use like a thicker fingering weight or even a worsted weight as long as you get gauge. So, it's like, don't stress about it. If the weights are a little bit wild, doesn't matter. It's like the nature of the sweater. Doesn't need to be perfect. Just put it in the sweater. So I pulled together a bunch of mostly fingering weight, but I do have some DK weight scraps in here. And these are the colors that I am going for my scrappy part of the sweater. And so I'm kind of looking at a lot of pinks and purples and blues, even some greens. So kind of like that half of the color wheel. And then, so I'm going to do I think what I'm going to do is have a color 1 and then, so like have the same color 1 through the whole sweater and then have these scraps for color 2. And so my main color I'm going to be using, I bought this a while back and haven't really, I was intending to do DK socks with them even though they don't have nylon in it. But then I ended up getting DK weight sock yarn and I didn't need the wool, 100% wool DK yarn anymore. So anyway, I've got a few balls, 4 balls of the City Tweed, and I haven't yet, I think I'm going to need to purchase a few more of these to have enough for a sweater. No, actually, because, all right, initially I was going to do a sweater for me, but I think I might do a smaller sweater for one of my kids. So this might be enough for a smaller size. I don't know. I still haven't decided for sure because I actually asked them if they, I asked my 2 oldest if either of them would be interested in the sweater, and they were like, I'm not so sure. Which I was like, oh, really? Like, I really love this sweater. Like, I'm showing them the pictures and they're like, so, I don't know. I think they want slightly more refined sweaters, not these wild, scrappy sweaters. So, I might end up knitting this for myself, which, that's okay. I don't mind. I can do that. So if I knit it for me, I think I'm going to need a little bit more yardage of this for, if I'm going to be doing like basically half of the sweater yarn in this. I don't think the 200 grams that I have is going to be enough, but this is City Tweed and it is Gala, the color. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't done any swatching yet. That all I've done is pull together scraps. That's it. So I've got it in a stitches bag because this is my biggest bag, but it's getting too much. I mean, there's way too many scraps in here, to be honest, but I mean, I need all these different colors. So anyway, I might have to figure out a better bag situation. This isn't quite working. So there's that. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe this weekend I can do some swatching. We'll see. But I do have another bag of scraps here. I do have another set of yarn somewhere. Is it in here? No. Oh, there it is. I balled up a sock blank that I had dyed a couple months ago, and it was a double knit sock blank, and my friend Danielle on Instagram, DM Brown and then some numbers, I'll look up her handle. She bought one of my Pink Nightmare sock blanks from my Christmas Story collection, and I've only knit with a sock blank one other time, and it was a single strand sock blank, and I pulled the yarn as I knit the sock. And the problem that I had was that I did two things. I knit with size 1 needles when I usually knit with size 0 needles. And the kind of like the crinkly ramen noodle sort of situation that you get from pulling out a sock blank, I noticed that that kind of affected my gauge. So I had like two things going to make the sock gauge, or like the knitting gauge, a little bit bigger than it really should have been. So the socks came out a little bit bigger than they should have been. So I noticed that Danielle balled up her yarn to do 2 at a time. No, she didn't do 2 at a time socks. She did them 1 at a time. But I'm like, ooh, that's kind of a good idea, because then they won't be quite so ramen noodly, because they'll be kind of stretched out a little bit in the ball, and then, you know, as time they kind of sit there. I mean, the other thing I could have done was like wind them up onto my Niddy Noddy and then like rehang it just seemed like a whole pile of work. So I'm like, why don't I just try this? And then I won't have like a tangly mess everywhere, because Lord knows the cat would get into it, or the baby or something. So anyway, my daughter helped me with this. I wound one ball, she wound the other one, and it was actually kind of fun. So I'm really looking, there's a hair there. There's always hair. Looking forward to starting a pair of socks out of these. But because it's a double knit sock blank, they will match. So it's like two strands of fingering that were machine knit into a blank. And so when I dyed them, actually I can put a picture over here of my process while I was knitting up, or balling up that sock blank. So anyway, these will make matchy socks, and they'll be a little wild though, because of all the fun like blotches of color. So I'm like really interested in seeing how this goes, and seeing if the, you know, pre-balling, as it were, makes a difference in being able to knit it at a reasonable gauge. So I'm excited to try that out. And this, I don't know, I love those colors. You know, a lot of my colors tend to be like purples and blues and pinks. Like I just really, those are my favorites. So last but not least, I'm going to talk about a few actually, some of the yarn that I have in my shop right now. So if anybody is interested in my latest colors, if you have been waiting this long, maybe you want to buy some yarn from me. That'd be really cool. I have a whole bunch of different stuff right now. So I already talked about my January sunset right here. And I made those really pretty socks out of those. So definitely recommend that if you'd like. And then I've got for Valentine's Day, I have this Sweetheart set here. So this main color has some nice pinks and purples and some speckles. And it comes with a really pretty mini here. To be honest, the color is a little more on the purple side. This is kind of showing a little bit pinker, but the pictures on my website are a little more accurate. I mean, it looks pretty here too, but in real life, it's a little more purple. So like I said, this is Sweetheart, and I named this one Kiss. Oh, so cute. And then I've got another sock set. Another sock set here. This is Winterbrook, and the mini is called Moose. My daughter Catherine actually named the Moose one. So this is like a grayish brown and a little bit of teal speckle in it. It's really nice. I think it would make a great pair of socks for like a man. Woman too, no problem, but it's just nice and like a little bit of color, but would be kind of a fun like masculine sort of a sock. And then that really nice tonal brown there. Oh, I really like this one. Like I tend to knit so much like really bright colors, and so I have to force myself sometimes to do things that are a little more neutral, but oh, I really like it. I have another kind of fun neutrally one here. Neutrally, that's not a word. This is Evergreen Glow, and this has some gold and evergreen color speckles with some brown. Oh, this one I also really like. Also, I felt that this was a good, like, you know, possible masculine color, but like I said, certainly a lady would love this too. Oh, you know, it's really hard. Like, I would keep all of these. Like, oh, maybe I'll keep this one, and you know, Jeff needs some socks. But I also have a ton of yarn. Like, I gotta like cut it off a little bit here. If you're into DK weight, this is the last sock set that I have here in this particular colorway. This is called Snow Melt, and the mini is Midnight, which is a nice like tonal navy blue color. But then this, oh, isn't that pretty? Like, I did all of these fun multicolor speckles. Like, there's greens and purple, and there's some orange, and there's some, yeah, a couple little like specks of orange, which just were really fun to just like, you know, surprise. So this would be really, whoa, this would be really fun. Again, this one's DK. The others that I've shown so far are fingering weight, but this one's DK. And I have one other DK, which I haven't yet put in the shop, so I better go do that before this goes online. But this is my Sacred Heart colorway, which I actually dyed up last June. And I got a request from one of the ladies who bought the this color last year, and she was hoping for some more of it. And so she did a special order, and I dyed up one extra DK from her order because it just worked out math-wise. Like, usually I do an even number of skeins, and so I have one extra, which I'm going to pop into the shop before I get this video up. So if you're interested in this yarn, definitely go take a look, because there's only one right now. I might do some more, probably, you know, again, I might do it for the month of June because it's the month of the Sacred Heart, but I love this colorway. It has some nice deep reds and some oranges with brown speckles, and it is beautiful. So this is in DK, which last year they were all in fingering, so it's kind of fun to have the opportunity to try it out on a different weight. So there's that. And if you are interested in ordering a special order of a colorway that I've done before that I don't have in my shop anymore, or even a colorway that I have now that I've run out, definitely send me a message. You can email me, put my email address down here. It's lcgranitestateYarns@gmail.com. You can email me there. You can message me through my website. You can message me on Instagram, even message down here. And if I have some room in my schedule, I would be happy to dye up something that I don't currently have available. As long as I have the dye, I'd be happy to do that. And like I said, the time. Right now, things are kind of quiet, so I've been taking a few extra special orders. Like I said, that yarn that I was dyeing at the beginning of the video was a special order. So, you know, if there's any way that I can do it, just give me a few weeks and I would be happy to dye you up some special yarn. So there's that. Now, if you have waited and watched this whole time, it's been like an hour, thank you so much. I do have a special announcement. So I talked about that sock set box earlier and talked about it in a video earlier a few weeks ago. And I actually ended up signing up for that sock set box, the subscription. So it comes every 2 months, but it started in February and I got another box, same thing that I opened up in my video earlier. So I have an extra box here and I thought it would be fun to do a giveaway. So if you are interested in signing or entering the giveaway, please comment down below. You can mention anything. you can talk about what you would plan on knitting with this box. You can tell me what you've been up to, what new projects you're working on, anything. And that will enter you to this giveaway. And I will announce at my, what will I do? I can announce maybe next week. Yeah, I'll do that. That'll force me to do another podcast too. So I'll announce on my next podcast the winner, and then I can get your information and mail out this box to you so you can have your own sock sack box. So I thought that would be kind of fun to do because I wanted to make sure that I could sign up for the subscription, and I knew I was going to get another box that I already have. So I thought, oh, I'll just do a giveaway. That'll be fun. So thank you so much for watching. I think I'm going to cut the video off this here. We don't need to do too much chit-chatting otherwise because I'm already up to over an hour. Well, 55 minutes here, plus I'm going to have whatever from that little bit in the beginning. So I think that's probably enough. But it's good to be back. I will do my best to get back on to a schedule of talking about my knitting because I have missed y'all, and it has been a lot of fun to kind of get to know everybody. Oh, Maggie's back to say goodbye. Sweet, sweet Maggie. So I hope you have a lovely week and get a lot of knitting done, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.